Hello my beautiful creatives and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chrissie and I am a creativity coach hoping to inspire you to live a more creative life every day. Now today we're going to do a Cuppa Chat and it's been a long awaited Cuppa Chat. Today I'm going to give you a life update with all of the changes that my hubby and I have gone through over the last year, and most definitely all the changes we've gone through in the last month and a half. There's been so much going on and I feel like we haven't chatted in a really long time and it is time to catch up. So before we get started, I want to let you know that my cup of choice for today in my lovely little orange and white mug, I love this so much. I actually found this at the dollar store, just so you know. I am drinking today tea, yogi tea. It's kava stress relief and it says eases tension and promotes relaxation, which mama can use a little relaxation. Plus it's very good. Anyways, let's get to today's Cuppa Chat. So it's been a while and this has been a crazy time in my life. So where do I even begin? I don't even know. Where to begin? Well, 2017 for my husband and I was kind of a doozy of a year. It was one of those years that by our own doing, we completely and totally overwhelmed ourselves with work and priorities and responsibilities. Maybe not priorities is not the right word, responsibilities is the word. Okay, so those of you who watch my channel know that on the tail end of 2016, my husband and I picked up and moved to Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon is where I was born. I lived there for a few years in my childhood, and it always kind of felt like home base because that's where a lot of my family lived. A lot of my dad's family lived in Portland. So it was always the place that I felt the most comfortable, and I would always get really excited when anyone in the family would say, we're gonna go visit Portland. I'm like, yes, that is awesome. And so, you know, moving to Portland was really hard for me because we had been in our home in Salem for like, I don't know, in the house that we were living in. We lived there for a little more than 10 years, which is the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my adult life. My family's always been very nomadic. We moved quite often. We had moved quite often, and I really wanted to kind of stop that because my husband and I had also moved quite often for the first, I don't know, 10, 15 years of our marriage. So I guess that makes me married too long, but you know what I'm saying. We moved a lot, and then when we purchased the condo in Salem, we kind of set down roots, and it was awesome that we lived there for 10 years, and it was really hard for me to leave. Now, fast forward 6 months after the move to Portland. Salem was really difficult. That last year in Salem was really hard because we kind of felt like everything that could go wrong did go wrong in the best possible way. Now let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean is everything that we had planned in our own little heads about what our life was going to be like and what our happiness was going to come from, we had like created our own little map and our own little like chart of how things were going to happen, and this was our timeline. And the universe just kind of said, I don't think so. I've got something else in plan for you. So little things just kind of kept knocking us off our little self-made timeline. And it was really stressful. I'm not a person who does things very spontaneously. Anyone who knows me can attest to that. I love having fun, but I have to almost mentally prepare myself for fun, which sounds crazy. I hear myself saying it out loud, and I realize that's probably the stupidest thing you've ever heard, but trust me, it is true. I think it's because I'm hypersensitive and I am also a very strong introvert. I have very little social energy, and so I have to be very careful on where I choose to use that energy because I don't have a lot. And once it's gone, it is gone. So blah 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 blah. Fast forward 6 months. So we moved to Portland. We have this gorgeous little house. It's the cutest little sweetest house, so we knew we had to downsize. So we downsized pretty well to get to Portland. We get into the house is perfect, it's everything I was hoping it would be. I ended up finding a really good job that paid really well, that allowed me to work from home. We still had a couple of things that happened during that first 6 months that were kind of surprises. Kind of the universe still knocking us off of our own self-made course a little bit. You know, life is what happens when you're busy making plans to live life. That's kind of how that 6 months went. So 6 months into living in Portland, things are still going pretty well, but it's not like the life that my husband and I had kind of envisioned for ourselves. I think I don't know what we were expecting, but I was expecting more like being able to socialize and go out and meet people and make friends and go like have a nightlife and go see shows and theater and all these things I thought would be so awesome to do. But the job that I had taken was a position on the East Coast, and I live on the West Coast. So my sleeping hours were very different than what most people here are, because I was living on East Coast time. And so I was going to bed really, really early. I kind of felt like I was on like grandparent time. I had to eat dinner really early. I was to bed really, really early. Like 7:30 I was out. The house was down. Like we just didn't do anything. And that seemed to be okay for the first 6 months. But when I started my second part of my job, which was, let me back up a little bit. I have been a healthcare data programmer, and I take contracts in 6-month increments. So I had a contract that started with a company, which I loved that team at that hospital on the East Coast, but it was a 6-month job. That job was pretty easy in the fact that really I was really more of a consulting type of a role, where I was just giving advice and giving ideas and trying to help where needed, and the pressure wasn't too bad and it felt very doable and blah blah blah. Work, it was just work. The second 6 months of so the second part of my contract comes up. It's the next 6 months. It's the same hospital, same company, same team, same, like I'm still a data programmer, but it's a totally different scope of job, and it was stressful and it was hard, and it was, let's just say the last 3 months at with the company that I worked with, I was working almost 7 days a week. Every single week I was staying late every single night. And when you work from home, that's really hard, because there really is no delineation between home and work. It is work. Work is home, home is work. It's all the same place. It was very easy to stay online all the time and just really kill myself, essentially. So those of you who watch my channel have heard this before, but I have something called adrenal fatigue syndrome. I was diagnosed with that in late 2016. Now, adrenal fatigue syndrome is something that is treatable, but it can be really difficult to make actually go away. It can be time consuming to make it go away, and you actually have to focus on it. And my vague understanding of what adrenal fatigue is basically where your adrenal system isn't functioning properly, and basically your reserves, your energy reserves are depleted, and it causes you to have almost a chronic exhaustion. Blah blah blah. That's totally curable, but you have to take steps to actually take care of it through really special diet, through exercise, through different I don't know what you call it, like a pill regimen that you could take of different medications. And really what you're needing to do is like eliminate stress from your life. Now, the first 6 months in Portland weren't so bad. The second 6 months, no, hell no. There was no relaxation. There was no stress-free times. There was no work-life balance. There really was no life. It was just work, work, work. And my husband was doing the same thing. He was doing it his own job, but he had gotten himself so overcommitted. And blah, blah, blah. In October of last year, my husband, who's a contractor, by the way, so he works, he like supervises contracting jobs. So while he was doing one of these jobs, my husband was standing in a stairwell on top of some scaffolding. And I don't know if he was painting or if he was repairing something. I'm not sure what he was doing. But he ended up falling through the scaffolding. And he ended up catching himself as he was falling under his armpits, kind of like parallel bars. And as soon as everything stopped swaying and everything stopped falling, he's still hanging on for dear life at the top of the scaffolding with the 2 bars underneath his armpits. So that's kind of the visual, if you can see what he was doing. And then what he ended up doing was he thought, okay, everything stopped falling. I'm going to do a controlled fall myself, and I'm going to lower myself down onto the stairs and see if I can make it without hurting myself. Now, what ended up happening was he dislocated his right shoulder and ended up tearing all of the muscles off of his shoulder. So he had nothing on the front of his arm, he had nothing on the back of his arm, basically has no muscles attached at all. It was horrible. It was really bad. So I knew that in the 22 years of marriage, that him telling me, hey, just so you know, I kind of got hurt, but I don't want, don't freak out about it, means, holy crap, my husband has just hurt himself. What the hell has he done? Now, when he got home and he was telling me, there wasn't really anything to see. His shoulder had popped back into place, and the version of the story he told me was kind of like a benign version, like, I fell, it's no big deal, I'm okay, blah, blah, blah. Cut to a month later, Jason is now, he has no motion, he has no ability to use his arm at all because he has no muscles holding his arm in place. So he can use his hand and he can do like this, karate chop thing like that, but he has no ability to like lift his arm, he can't basically do any muscles, he can't do any motion from his shoulder. So we had to have surgery. The window for the surgery was so small. The surgeon told us that if Jason doesn't get the surgery done within this time frame, he is going to lose the ability to use that shoulder for the rest of his life because there will be nothing they can do to fix it. Because essentially what was happening is when all the muscles dislocated, all of the muscles start shrinking back down into your arm, and the surgeon said what could happen if you wait too long, you'll end up with Popeye arm and you'll have this big bulge down in your forearm, which are the muscles that should be like, ugh, gross. Anyways, drama, 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 financial trouble. It really wiped our entire savings account out. We found out literally less than 12 hours before surgery that we needed to come up with $25,000, otherwise they wouldn't do the surgery. And we were at the very tail end of this little window because it was the first surgery that we were able to get, surgery time we were able to get for him. So, drama, 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 blah, 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 miracles happen, we're able to get money together. We ended up negotiating that we would put $10,000 down and we would pay the other $25,000, in payment. And it just, like, literally everything miraculously, like, came together. The surgery was better than the surgeon could have hoped for. The surgeon said that everything that could have gone right did go right. So it was best case scenario. That's November. I knew that I was not going to be able to maintain this job with this company any longer. That as soon as my next 6 month, the second 6 month contract was up, I was going to have to leave because my health was suffering. I had no life. I really had no anything. And I think even like my mental health was failing because I was just so low and I was so down and I just felt so hopeless. And I just felt like there's nothing left to give to me because I'm giving everything to this impossible task that I am being forced to make happen. I have to pause a moment because as I'm telling you this story, I'm sort of realizing how like traumatized I was in that last 3 months of that job. I want to be very clear though, the way that my job worked is I got a job with a company in Wisconsin. It's their job to find a hospital somewhere in the United States or even in Europe where a hospital needs a person like me to come help them do work. And then those two companies put a contract together, and because I'm an employee of this company in Wisconsin, I am then the consultant that's stuck in that role over there. I'm basically placed in that role. So the company in Wisconsin was where I was having issues. It wasn't the place I was actually doing the work for, the team that I was actually working with. If I was an employee of that company and not this company, I probably could have kept going. I have to be careful how much I say because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying. But let's just say that for me and for my personality type and my very strong work ethic, and I really want to do a good job. I mean, I kept saying, I'm here to serve, I'm here to serve. That's all I'm here for. And I felt like I was in a place where I was constantly being questioned. I wasn't trusted. Not only was I not trusted, I was micromanaged so badly that I felt like more effort had to go into fighting with this person just to say, can you just let me do the work that we already know is impossible, but we're gonna see if we can do it anyways? Can you just let me do that? Because fighting with you takes more energy than just doing this impossible work. Yeah, that's right. I think that's a good way to say it. So here we are. In November. So here we are in November. We have no money. Christmas is coming. I know that our lease is almost up on the rental that we had, the house rental. And because my husband and I were really killing ourselves with responsibilities all year long, we never had a chance to like actually take care of selling the condo in Salem, which we had talked about doing forever. Which again, that's our own fault. That's all our own priorities and choices, and so I can't like blame anyone for that except ourselves. So we didn't deal with the condo, but I was paying for the condo and I was paying for the place in Portland, which was outrageously expensive, and I knew that I needed to make a big change because my husband, who laughs all the time, he's a big jokester. His whole life is a big game, and it's all about playing and being silly and having fun, and I love that about him, but he somewhere along that 12-month time period, he lost his joy, and he lost his smile, and he lost his ability to laugh, and he just kept saying, I don't want to be a grumpy old man, and I'm turning into a grumpy old man. I don't want to be a grumpy old man, but I'm turning into a grumpy old man. I already knew that my health, not only my physical health, but my mental health was deteriorating really badly. And I wasn't leaving myself any extra energy to do any of the things that I know that my soul needs. I wasn't giving myself time to art. I wasn't giving myself time to listen to music or sing or go for walks or hang out in nature or spend time with my family or my friends. I really felt like somewhere along that year in Portland, something broke inside of myself, and I felt like I'm crashing and burning. And not only am I crashing and burning, I'm gonna fall down this huge flight of stairs, and I'm gonna hit every single riser on the way down, and I'm gonna make sure I hit at least twice on the way down, just to make sure that I'm really banged up and broken, because by the time I get down to the bottom of these stairs, I am worthless. I have no value to anyone. I have no value to myself, because I can't lift my head up and say hello to anybody. Like, I just didn't have it. And that's kind of where all of my videos had gone. They just kind of disappeared. And I don't remember when exactly that happened. I don't know if that was in October or if it was before that. But really, my life was just totally spiraling out of control. And one of these days that I was having I'd gotten into a really bad argument with one of my bosses, and I ended up hanging up on her. I'm going to be honest with you. I ended up yelling at her, and I hung up on her. That's not how I behave. That is the most unprofessional behavior, but I had had it. I was done. Like, you could stick a fork in me, I was done. Like, take me out of the freaking oven. I'm like a shell of a carcass. And I decided, and that was, actually I know the date of that. That was November 11th, because it was the day after my husband's surgery. And I had gotten in trouble because I wanted to take 2 hours off of work. Now I'm a salaried employee. That should not have been a big deal. But I wanted to take 2 hours off of my Friday afternoon to be able to drive my husband from the city that he had a surgery in back home. And I was being told I couldn't do that. And that, I put my foot down. I said, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. I will be leaving at the end of my contract. I want you to know it, because there will be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There will be no changing my mind. There will be no talking me into it. I don't care what you offer me. It doesn't matter. I got off the phone with her, and I was so livid. I was so upset, and I was not just mad at her, but I was mad at myself, because I put myself in a situation where I let myself give all of my power to someone else, and I did not stand up for myself at all year, because I kept saying, I'm a servant. I'm here to serve. That's what I'm here for. And I think somewhere along the way, I realized that being a servant doesn't mean being a slave. It doesn't mean being miserable. It doesn't mean being worthless and not worthy and letting other people treat you like crap. It doesn't mean that. Being a servant means you come to the table with a servant's heart. You come to do what you do because you want to express love through the thing that you're doing. Even if it's something as analytical as programming a report, programming data. I still want to do that with love. I still want to have every interaction I have with anyone I come into contact with, I want you to feel like you are happy that we've met or that we had that interaction today. And I realized that in that moment, I gave all of that away. And I made being a servant mean I am not worthy. I am not enough. I don't have the right to say I'm allowed to be happy. I am not allowed to be happy because I am too busy trying to make sure that you're happy. Even if that means I'm a shell of a person who has nothing left to give to anyone, including myself or my husband. So I have this realization, and I'm pretty freaked out about it. And I told my husband, I said, you know, our contract is up. Our rental contract is up in a month. We're friends with our landlord, so let me see if we can, you know, squeak another month out. You know, let's extend the contract another month. But if it were up to me and you asked me today, I would tell you we are selling everything and moving into a van. And we're going to drive to the coast, and I'm going to go just wallow at the coast for a while and soak up some of that energy that, for me, the ocean is like where God lives. So I'm going to soak up some of that energy, and I'm just going to take it all in, and I don't want any responsibilities any longer. I don't want any bills. I don't want any real responsibilities except you, me, and our puppies, and that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. That was essentially the moment that I realized that I wanted to get a divorce from the American dream. The American dream is a lie. It is attainable, but you have to have so many things in your path. There's so much luck that has to happen. You have to work your behind off, but then you also have to have luck hit you every now and then. Well, it really felt like we were being knocked down 24/7. And my husband said, okay, let's do it. And I said, what do you mean let's do it? He says, well, let's go live in a van. And I'm like, what? We're not living in a van. That was just me being melodramatic, thinking, okay, let's go live in a van. Because I didn't want to deal with any of this crap anymore, and I figured living in a van, we pay off the van, and we have no bills, right? That was the end of the conversation for that day. I'm like, are you crazy? We're not moving into a van. You're insane. Well, then I started watching videos. I had been watching videos all year long about minimalism and, you know, getting rid of your things and like paring down to the things that were really important to you. But for whatever reason, this idea of like living small kept like floating around in my head. And one of my sisters lives in Arizona, and I called her and I said, this was like right in the middle of my freak out, by the way. So I called her, and I'm pacing up and down the sidewalk like, I need you to give me some confirmation that I can do this. I'm going to just sell everything. I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to sell everything, and I'm going to go live in a van. And she, God bless her, because she knows me, I am not a minimalist. I am totally a maximalist. I love having stuff around me. I love books. I love art supplies. I love my clothes. I love my things. I love my environment, and that's why I think I love things. Blah, blah, blah. And she kind of laughed at me and said, well, I'm not so sure about a van. That might be a little small for you, but, you know, whatever floats your boat. Well, this thought wouldn't go away, wouldn't go away, wouldn't go away. And at this point, remember, Jason had just had surgery, and we had zero monies, like nothing. We wiped everything out to pay for that surgery. And I knew that I was getting a few more paychecks because I knew that I had it like mapped out how long I'd be getting paid if I left at the end of the year. And we were able to figure it out, and because there were a lot of things that went really well this year that I was not aware of because I was so busy focusing on all of the crapola that had hit the fan, because of all these good things that were happening, I was able to actually first, I said, okay, my husband and I, at that point, essentially, like after a week, maybe, after this discussion about living in a van, my husband and I just started to kind of like, hypothetically, if we were to live smaller, does it have to be a van? And so we started to like negotiate. What did he want? What did I want? What did he want? What did I want? And I found out what was important to him, and he found out what was important to me. And long story short, my husband and I bought a brand new 2018 35-foot camper trailer. it seems very crazy. That was where we were going to live. That was the plan, is that we have this 35-foot trailer and we would pare down everything to only the things that I felt I needed in this trailer. And everything else that we owned would either be donated to Goodwill, which was a lot. We donated a lot. Because originally the plan is we were going to sell everything, but it just became too time consuming to try to sell things when we had so much to do, and we literally had like a month and a half to do it because we made the decision. We made the decision in the middle of November. By Thanksgiving 2017, we had the RV camper trailer parked in my sister-in-law's, basically her side yard. And it was, we had a month and a half to then, because our lease was up, we had got it extended by a month, but our lease was up the end of December. So January 1st, we had to be out, and everything had to be done. Now, reminder, my husband had shoulder surgery November 10th. One of the things about this shoulder surgery, even though it went beautifully, it has an extensive healing time. So the surgeon said he'll start regaining momentum and the ability to move his arm using his shoulder muscles, but he's really going to have a 6-month period where he's not going to be that arm's not going to be terribly functional. So we have this move, not only this huge move, but we have this huge move and downsizing, and I mean downsizing, like we're moving so fast at this point, and I'm so depleted mentally and emotionally and physically that some days we would call our friends in and they would come help us do all this stuff, and then I would literally crash and burn, and I'd be like, Sunday, I'm useless, I'm gonna hang out in bed all day. And if I'm gonna eat, somebody needs to bring me something because I'm not leaving this bed except to go pee. So, long story short, here we are. It's almost the end of January 2018. We now live in that trailer. Everything else that we own that we kept, we put into a storage unit. It's in a 10 by 20 storage unit. The plan right now is we're going to stay at my sister-in-law's for probably the first 3 to 6 months, depending on how well my husband's shoulder's doing. Now, I am not working at the moment. My job at this point is to take care of myself. I am dedicating 2018 to getting back into doing art, getting artsy, using my soul book as a tool for healing. I'm also getting back into taking care of my physical body. 2018 is the year that I want to keep the life purge going and only keep the things in my life, not even just the things, but the things and the people and the experiences in my life that really bring me joy. So what am I saying? So this has been a really crazy couple of years. It's been a lot of transition. It's been a lot of change. I don't know what is next. I actually truly don't know what is next. I really want to spend a lot more time doing art, doing my videos, sharing. I'm doing a lot of reading at the moment. They're all about like dealing with anxiety, depression, taking care of yourself. I'm trying to get comfortable in my own skin and taking my power back, so that way I don't give it to anyone unless I'm choosing to give a piece of me to you. I don't know how else to describe that, but for the time being, we're living in the camper trailer. It's 35 foot long. It has one room that is like the living room. There's like a reading corner. I have an art studio / office. There is a good sized kitchen in here, which is pretty nice. There's a really good sized bedroom with a queen size bed. I will give you a tour of that within the next week. And there's a really nice bathroom here. So I am actually really quite impressed how comfortable I am here. I'm also really impressed by how little material belongings I actually need. I'm actually pretty surprised by that, to be honest with you. Right now, the commitment for living in the camper trailer is I am committing to living here for a year, but I am already so at home here, and I feel so comforted here. And we are no longer in Portland. We live out in the country, and one of the surprises in all of this transition was I did not realize what a country girl I am and how much I need the energy in the country. Portland is awesome, but there's an undercurrent of more, have, get, go, go, go. And I felt like I was drowning there. Like being in an ocean and being in a tidal wave or a rip tide that you can't seem to get out of. And instead of like moving forward and having momentum going forward in the direction you want to be going, I felt like I was underwater being spun. And I could not get out of that spin. And I knew I needed to make big changes. And the first of that being is I had to get out of Portland. The second of that is I had to get rid of all of the stuff that I still felt was drowning me. And three, had to get out of the career that I was in. I'm actually taking big steps this year to make that a permanent change. I have some certifications that are really valuable that I am purposefully choosing to let lapse this year, just so if I do choose to fall back on that career again, it's gonna be hard to do, and I'm going to have to fight really hard and work really hard. So I know that if that's what I really want, I'm gonna do it. But it's only because I really want it and not because it's easy. So that's something I had to do. And then moving out to the country, just the fact that I drive 5 minutes in any direction and there are fields and mountains and trees and forests and streams and gorgeousness and birds and deer and animals, and it's just such a peaceful feeling. I feel like I have hopped my little body out of the ocean and I'm now standing on the sand and I'm able to see the ocean and see how beautiful the ocean is, but I'm not being controlled by it any longer. So I apologize it's been so long since I've actually reached out. I hope that helps explain a little bit where I've been and what I've been doing. It has not been lost on me that this YouTube channel, which actually brings me so much flippin' joy, how much I really missed it. And even just the few videos I put out so far this year have been really hard. It's been a bit of a struggle because I've had to learn how to do things over again because, you know, my video setup is completely different than I've ever had before, or the lighting setup has to be different because we're in such a tiny space. And I don't know if you've ever been in an RV, but you can't really like attach things to the walls very well because they're metal and you don't want to like pierce the siding, whatever, there's stuff. So it's all been a learning curve. I'm really excited though. I'm starting to feel like I'm at a place where I'm just getting my feet under myself again. And I feel like the creative bug is starting to like nag at me like, you better get the camera rolling because Mama wants to play today. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm hoping that things continue to go in that manner. I think this is all, although it's been a lot of change and it's been hard and it's been like, even now I don't believe it's real, like I need somebody to pinch me. It feels like it's where I have been needing to be for a really long time, and my soul's been trying to like say, hey stupid, wake up, I'm right here, I'm trying to tell you something. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I can breathe and do that. So like I said, the plan is we'll be here for about 3 to 6 months depending on my husband's healing time. He is still working in Portland. He probably has about a month or so left, I think. I'm hoping that's all done soon. He is working on wrapping up a couple jobs there, and then he will be done in Portland. And then he will be taking some smaller jobs here in the town that we live, or the area that we live, which will be really nice because he needs a break too. Honest to God, I don't know what's next to come. We are calling the trailer the beach house, and we call it the beach house because the goal is, like, the ultimate end goal is that we can take it and drive down the coast and like live at the ocean. And I have no idea where. I don't know how we're gonna make a living. I don't know how we're gonna like make ends meet or how we're gonna like do all this stuff, but I feel like this is a leap of faith and I'm just gonna basically go back to living my life on a faith basis, maybe. I highly expect that if you have any questions, please leave them down the comment box below. I will be happy to answer any of your questions. I will be doing a tour of the trailer soon. I will also be doing another video which will be a detailed tour of my art studio. because I have always been very spoiled in my art studio spaces. My art studio has always been a very large room, both in Salem and in Portland. Very large room, lots and lots and lots of space. Now it's tiny, and I think it would be interesting. It would be interesting for me if I was thinking about making this kind of a change to see what an art studio could look like in an RV. So that'll be another video that I'll be doing shortly. I'm also something I really needed to see when I was making this transition and thinking about, like, how do I make all this work? One of the things that camper trailers are really lacking is a really good way to store, at least this one. This camper trailer was very lacking in its ability to store clothing. So I needed to figure out how a capsule wardrobe worked. And I took myself down to a capsule wardrobe, and that is how I'm living. Going from 2 huge walk-in closets, one in Portland and then one in Salem and then one in Portland, and then going down to essentially a 3-foot bar is huge. I thought that would be so much harder than it actually is, and it's actually very liberating. So I think I'm going to share that with you as well, my capsule wardrobe and how that came about, and what I chose to put in my capsule wardrobe and how I kind of style it together. Because, yeah, I feel more like myself being able to, like, dress nicely. So I think there'll be more to come on that, because it was something that I think would have been really helpful for me to see, especially from someone who is full-time RVing, which is what we're going to do. So, yeah, more to come. I know that I'll be doing Cuppa Chats more frequently than I have in the past, most definitely. I'll be doing all sorts of videos much more frequently than I have been doing in the past few months, especially as, you know, my mental health and my physical health start to get better, and I literally hear the soundtrack of my life start to pop back on again, which it's doing now. I can feel it. I feel better. I feel joy again. I feel good. Anyways. So, I will keep you posted. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section down below. I appreciate you. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I know you know how YouTube works. My little channel would really appreciate the thumbs up and the subscribe. That'd be awesome. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.